Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. This is Wasif Naqvi, and today's topic of discussion is tobacco control in Pakistan. We have with us a very senior and a big name, Dr. Minhaj Siraj. Dr. Minhaj has remained Joint Executive Director PIMS, and currently he is associated with Health Services Academy. Thank you very much for taking out time and talking to SDTV on this very important subject. First of all, I would like to ask that Pakistan became a signatory to FCTC. Beside the fact that Pakistan already had some laws in place like 1958 Tobacco Vendor Act, 1979 Health Warning Act, and then more significantly the 2002 Prohibition of Smoking and Protection of Non-Smokers Health Ordinance. So why there was a need to sign a Framework Convention on Tobacco Control?
Basically, these international treaties which are related to the health sector specifically, they are accepted globally, and when we attach ourselves to those treaties, then yes, we are a part of the international community to join hands against fighting any disease or any illness, or in this case the tobacco hazards of its use. And besides that, Pakistan being a tobacco producing country and also a developing country, so to fight that international mafia of the tobacco companies, which is called Big Tobacco, we had to have some international support also. So that was one reason. And of course, the journey of you can say the frameworks with the WHO, they started with the Health for All by the year 2000, 1976. Mm-hmm. Incidentally, from Pakistan, my father was a signatory to that treaty. So that was a binding on that changed basically the perspective of the healthcare throughout the world. So being an international community's part, that is always helpful, and we are able to, you can see on the other side, we are also, you can get a monitoring control on our activities, and we can gauge our efforts, where they land us in the due course of time, compared to what our partners in tobacco control are doing throughout the world, mm-hmm. especially in the developing countries.
So somehow it was inherited also. So FCTC, which is Framework Convention on Tobacco Control, makes it obligatory to Pakistan to comply the M-Power rules. And yes, for the benefit of the viewers, M is for monitoring, P is for protecting people, O is offering help to quit tobacco, and then the W is for warning about the dangers of tobacco, E is for enforcing ban on tobacco advertisements and promotion. Exactly. And R is for raising taxes. What are your suggestions in making M-Power component more effective in case of Pakistan?
You see, the tobacco control strategies, there are two parts of that. One is the policy made by the government, especially by the health ministries, federal health ministries, and then adopted by the provincial governments, their health departments. And then the implementation of those policies or laws or rules, or in that case, sub-legislation, which we call statutory regulatory orders. So, although we had promulgated that ordinance in 2002, the Prohibition of Smoking and Protection of Non-Smokers Health Ordinance, but still the fight against tobacco mafia, it is ever-evolving fight. Every day the scenario changes, because we in public health are always other colleagues of us who are fighting with the diseases like tuberculosis, or in Pakistan, polio is still endemic, and so many other things. Infection controls, where we are pitched against microorganisms, which we cannot even see with our naked eye.
Exactly.
But here, we are pitched against a corporate giant, which is very aggressive, and you can say that it has the power to buy the governments, bury the governments throughout the world. Tobacco mafia works like any other mafia in the world. They have been sporting terror financing. They have been doing every illegal activity in the garb of tobacco, smuggling and everything. And that's why when we were making this framework for illicit tobacco trade at the World Health Organization, 2011 and 12 onwards, and now they have been adopted by the WHO and through FCTC. And Pakistan has also become a signatory to that. And now there are more than 65 countries which have signed for this illicit tobacco trade. So one of the major factors in that also was that in the garb of illicit tobacco, so many bad things were happening. So you see, this is when we are going to implement the laws of the country, then we need to have a strong infrastructure. And for that matter, that what we devised at the federal government level was that we started to build up implementation models right from Islamabad. It was started on the basis that concept of a smoke-free city. So we launched that model in Islamabad in 2014, and we kept very modest targets for ourselves. In 2 years' time, we are almost able to achieve 80% of our targets, which we had started to work on in 2014. So learning from that experience, after 3 years in 2017, we tried to replicate that model in the other major cities of the country. And we took our neighboring province. And I will also add at this point that by the time we were able to go to the provincial level, that time the devolution had already occurred. The 18th constitutional amendment had already transferred the powers, especially of health and education, everything to the provinces. But we circumvented that approach, not to go to the provincial governments. We took it from city to city, so that the district government should work on that, and it will not become a bone of contention between the federal and the provincial, because there was a political divide. The federal government was being run by one political party, the provincial government was being run by another political party. So we would have wasted so much of our time and energies if we would have gone through that channel, and they might have accepted that or not in the start.
From the last many years, you might have witnessed that there is hardly any tax implementation in case of tobacco control or tobacco as a whole. Do you see that is there any change after implementation of track and trace system, or the recent move on the taxation system of tobacco, which was earlier, I think FCTC recommends 70% taxation,
Yes.
whereas in Pakistan it is less than that.
Yes.
So how do you see tobacco taxation in case of Pakistan?
Yes, the tobacco products are the cheapest in the region. They should not have been cheaper. One main strategy for tobacco control is, as you mentioned, empowers R to raise taxes on tobacco, and that is meant only to protect the youth from buying tobacco products, or the socially the people who are on the low strata of the economy. They should avoid if the prices are very high. But politically, the things is that when our international community starts to push the government on some legal aspects, they have a very scant knowledge of our own financial disciplines. The World Health Organization and so many of our international donor agencies, they have been pushing very hard. And one fine day, one of our senior, you can say, the decision makers, they were able to make a part of the financial, you can say, the bill passed by the government. But then it failed to implement that, because that was not the right way to do it. Whatever taxes you impose on tobacco products, they are supposed to be a part of the federal excise duty. And when you talk about a specific amount of money, like they were propagating that every pack should be taxed 10 rupees extra, and these 10 rupees should go to the health coverage instead, so that it is you can, in the world there are like called as sin tax or something like that. In Pakistan, that thing doesn't work. You cannot tax any commercial product in solo. It has to be a part of the federal excise duty, and when it is a part of federal excise duty, it has come to a joint kitty of the federal government, of the Federal Board of Revenue. From that kitty, the disbursement goes through Council of Common Interests, and a part of that is being taken, major part goes to the provinces. 55% to the provinces, 45% to the federal government. Then federal government has about 31 major ministries. Out of these, one is health. Until and unless you have a very solid proposal at your hand, convincing the decision makers that this much amount of money taken from the tobacco industry should be transferred to the health ministry, till then that is not possible, simply not possible in the financial discipline of the federal government. So because our international partners were not aware, or even are today not aware of this, our rules and disciplines, they still try to tell they give the example of Philippines. It worked in Philippines, but then they failed to appreciate that in Philippines also the sin tax was part of federal excise duty. It was not a solo tax.
Exactly.
So when that is one thing, that how the taxation should be. You increase the price, but yes, our Federal Board of Revenue and the tobacco mafia, they have been, you can say, hands in gloves over not coming up to the mark and to make our international commitments complete.
How do you look at the penetration of novel nicotine products?
When we talk about tobacco products, be there traditional tobacco products or be there novel products, the fight will continuously evolve. The government has to take serious steps. Still, whatever has been done, and Pakistan has been able to manage 2 tobacco control awards from the WHO in 2018 and 2021 on the Smoke-Free Cities initiative or whatever.
And for the benefit of the viewers, I must tell that you were the one who won that award in the name of Pakistan.
That was Pakistan's name.
Exactly.
Not for a person, and the way it should be. Thank you. But the thing is that what I have been talking about since my very early interactions with the tobacco control, that there should be a tobacco control board or a tobacco control authority, so that the policies and then implementation of the policies and then confronting the tobacco industry. So these all things are being done very patchily. But when there is a solid authority like any other in the country, then yes, we would have so many stakeholders on board. The tobacco growing people, even our the Ministry of Food Security, which controls the Pakistan Tobacco Board, or our Ministry of Economics, Finance Division, Federal Board of Revenue. These health is one part of the tobacco control dynamics. In a country, in a low middle income country, where tobacco growing is legal, tobacco products are being manufactured legally, they are being brought to the market legally, and tobacco control activity starts when the manufactured product is in the buyer's hand. Only then the tobacco control starts, that if that person who is buying that is above 18 or not, whether he smokes in a public place or not, or how he disposes of his ash or everything. So to see, that is a very thin margin. But to expand it, we need to have all the stakeholders on board under a tobacco control authority. I had proposed that in 2011, and the government is yet to consider that finally.
And I was about to ask that, have you proposed anything for the government?
Yes, I did that. I started working on that in 2011.
But still there is no progress from the government side.
You see, when we talk about figures in Pakistan, then again, our data is also has been very patchy. Every new comer into the tobacco control, if somebody is, they try to take out a figure of 2 decades back, that every day so many 1,200 children of Pakistan start smoking.
Yeah.
That is a rubbish data. On the one hand, at that time, we were saying 174 people die every day, or 270. The number started increasing. These days, we are saying that in Pakistan, the 240 or something like people die every day. But on the other hand, if we also say that 1,200 new children are started smoking, so that is simple calculation that tobacco industry is growing 3 or 4 times every day. So you see, that's not the case. Tobacco industry's profits have gone down in the last about 6-7 years, but for the last 2-3 years, they have started again showing profit. And especially when the tobacco control activity has gone down in the COVID and everywhere, the industry has floated. People stayed indoors, smoked more. This is what has shown in the last 2 years tax returns of the tobacco industry. You see that those data have also to be streamlined. We need to have our solid, you can say, studies on our internal issues related to tobacco control, the health costs, the alternate crops. Our neighbors and so many other low middle income countries have switched on to so many other things. Kenya has switched from tobacco to bamboo, Bangladesh tobacco to potato. We are not considering that.
Right. So you think that the numbers are exponentially, they have increased. Thank you very much, Dr. Minhaj, for taking out time and giving us this chance to get benefit from your experience and this to have this valuable discussion. And I'm sure that tobacco control partners would again learn a lot from you, and we look forward to seeing you again. Thank you very much for your time, sir.
Thank you very much for the SDPI has always been very supportive and always have given me a chance to vent out whatever things I otherwise could not say as a government officer. Thank you very much.